Welcome to another Friday Facts. 10 days before release, it's Friday Facts 432. We finally get to know what Aquilo is. By Arundel. Hello, it's time to reveal the last planet, so warning, spoilers ahead. So anyone who doesn't want to know should probably look away or turn off the video or something. We see a very dark planet with some, I guess those are icebergs or maybe clouds, I'm not sure. But yeah, we have a long description. I think I will try to read this. It's day, but stars twinkle in the dark sky. You count the planet's sun among the stars, larger and brighter than the others, but still so dim you can barely feel its warmth at all. Howling wind chills you to the bone and gently rocks the iceberg you are sitting on. This planet has no land. It's an ocean world of liquid ammonia. One continuous ocean covers the entire planet and it's at least 200 kilometers deep. The best landing spot you could find was the large iceberg. The sheet of ice, only a few meters thick, is only a few meters thick and seems to contain a lot of trapped air. But frozen water is a very solid material as long as it stays cold. It's able to support a landing pad, so that's good enough. You sit on the edge of the ice watching the snowfall. It gracefully deposits itself on your frozen machines. Assembling machines, chemical plants, transport belts and inserters all frozen in place, unable to move. In the distance you spot columns of teal gas, fluorine bubbling up from the depth. It's one of the resources you're here for, but out of reach for now. There seems to be plenty of oil, most likely from microorganisms in the core. Making fuel on site shouldn't be a problem as soon as the refinery is unfrozen. You take the time to plan your next moves, collecting ice from the surrounding ocean to extend the platform, heating towers to warm your buildings, heat pipes to move the heat around, and concrete to make sure that the heat doesn't melt the ice. The thought of running heat pipes through all your designs is starting to make your head spin. Mine too, actually. I have already had some experience with exotic industries where you had to power certain distillation towers and refineries and chemical plants in the early game. So that's not fun. But it's okay, don't panic. The one thing you do have on this planet is time. A flurry of shooting stars distracts you for a moment. You can't help but wonder if they are little meteorites burning up in the atmosphere, or the remaining parts of the space platform that dropped you here. The space platform barely made it to this planet and never made it out of orbit. You got out just in time. Hopefully a replacement platform will be here soon if it survives. There's a clunking sound behind you as the landing pad opens its hatch. You turn to see a formation of cargo pods descend through the atmosphere. It's time to build. So you can here see terrain graphics by Feargal and Arundel. Let's turn off the other music and switch to this video. I have already opened it in a new tab. quite interesting. So we see a bunch of icebergs floating around. I think they even move a little bit. You can see this one floating around. And yeah, everything is covered in snow. This iceberg also floats a bit. And then you can see the things falling from the sky into the landing pad. And then everything thaws. And that is happening then. We already saw this a bit. And I guess then the factory starts to do things again, as well as it can. Okay. Music back on. A liquid planet. Aquilo doesn't have any land. It has a few icebergs floating around, but the building space is very restricted. If you use an offshore pump in the ammoniacal ocean, you don't get water, you get mostly liquid ammonia, but with some ice particles floating in it. You can separate those in a chemical plant. These substances have a variety of uses, but among them is the ability to make ice platform. Ice platform allows you to extend the iceberg and extend your building area. Making ice platform can be a slow process, so it's good to scale this process while you have spare energy and heat. Freezing and heating. Heat is the next big mechanic, and it's wonderful twist to the way that you build. Most things on Aquilo freeze if they are not heated. So here you can see all these buildings. I'm not sure if they are all the buildings that can freeze, but surely most of them. So labs, assemblers, chemical plants, beacons, furnaces. I guess I don't need to name them all. So they don't show the bio chamber from Glebber. Maybe you can't build them on Aquilo anyway. And also they don't show the new lab, but I guess you can't build that anywhere else either. You can only build that on Novice. A collection of frozen machines. Frozen effects are all hand-painted by Arundel. It's better and faster to paint snow in 2D than to add a snow layer in 3D. Especially considering most of the original graphics have a lot of hand-painted post-production. Heat is generated by a heating plant, which burns chemical fuels that can be made locally, or the nuclear reactor that requires imports from Novice. The heating tower is interesting as a burner because it's more like the reactor. It continues to consume fuel even at max temperature. As well as heating, this can be a good way to get rid of anything burnable, which means it can also be very useful on Glebber, I guess for the spoilage. Or I don't know if you can just burn fruit that you don't need anymore. But yeah, these are the graphics and the early concept art. I guess this is line art, this is concept art with heated and not heated. And this is then the final graphics by Jersey. Both the heating tower and nuclear reactor are heat sources. They spread heat to adjacent entities, but they only need to get the entity up to 30 degrees Celsius for the entity to thaw. This means that in some places, like outposts, going for higher temperatures is a waste. So that is one of the reasons we added the ability to read the temperature of heat sources and control them with circuits. Heat sources only being able to warm adjacent things that touch them is very limiting. Instead you use heat pipes to move the heat around to all the entities adjacent to connected heat pipes, including diagonally. Every entity that needs heat also consumes heat. The effect is minor per entity, but can result in a lot of heat loss over long distances. So sometimes you want a hotter heat source so that the heat can travel further. Here I wonder whether you couldn't just make another heat source along the way. I guess you would need to carry the fuel a bit further to provide the fuel for the heat source, but I guess this should also be possible and not just make the heat source hotter. I guess both might help. Heat pipes and heated buildings would melt the ice, so to protect the ice that keeps you floating you can place concrete or refined concrete as an insulator. This feels a bit like Dune 2 or Dune 2000, where you had to build platforms because otherwise your buildings would start with half the health. I guess in this case you need concrete, so in practice this just means that most entities can't be placed directly onto ice. We don't actually turn the ice tiles into ocean anymore. That used to be a mechanic, but it was too annoying to deal with when you try to build in an already heated area. So yeah, that would be annoying if the ice just melts away and you are left with ocean. And I hope or think that you can just build the concrete even on the water. Or maybe you need some super landfill that they mentioned a long time ago and that should be unlocked on the final planet, which is this one. So heat pipes can't go underground or under ice, so you'll need to route the belts and pipes around them while building. Often this means a machine will need access to belts, pipes and heat, but all the belts and pipes also need access to heat. And this can lead to some nice little puzzles and some very interesting builds. So we have the next video. I will just switch to the already opened tab. I like how quickly and curvy the camera flows around. I guess it's a circular, or it lands in the spot where it starts after all the movement. So let's see, we can see the cryogenic plant here, which is explained later. I will, I guess, show it to you in a moment. I think somewhere along this video the dark blue science pack is produced. I guess you can see it right here on the output belt. So this produces the probably cryogenic science pack. I don't know what it would be called. And what exactly the ingredients are, I guess we will figure that out. There are the heating towers, providing heat to everything, even to their own belts that provide their fuel, of course. And then we have trains on the ice planet. I guess the rails themselves might not need heat. And we can also see, I think this is right at the edge, rail ramps, elevated rails basically, going to the east. That's an interesting idea, because the whole planet is probably mostly ocean with a few islands of ice, icelands basically. What else can we see? There are very many of these cryogenic plants. And there you can also see lots of these blue, dark blue science packs. And we saw some robots flying around. This is the landing pad with a lot of storage. A nuclear reactor setup. Some assemblers. I guess there are stack inserters, the actual stack inserters that insert stacks onto belts. This might be ice, I'm not sure. Might also be the new ice platform that you can build on. And I guess when you have ice platform and then put concrete on top, then you can actually build most of the buildings there. So it's a two-way or two-step setup where you, just like a normal vanilla, where you place landfill and then concrete on top. In this case, it's ice fill. It's interesting to have these solar accumulator setups. I guess they are still somewhat useful. We will learn more about this in a moment. Here are a lot of rockets and a fusion reactor at the bottom. Just two of them. With 12 of these generators attached to them. It's quite nice how they always have the light around certain places. So the light here is pink. I think the light around some other place was orange. Yeah, here, for instance, this looks more orange. Or this. Lots of chemical plants and refineries. Okay, I guess that's it for this video. Not for my video, but for this showing of a few parts of the base. Let's turn on the music again. Resources. Aquilo is notably lacking in basic resources. On the other planets, you can land with nothing and build your way to another rocket. On Aquilo, if you land with nothing, then you can do nothing. Okay, but what do you have? Your resources are solar, 1%, so I guess this is 1% of the novice solar power. Ammoniacal solution from the ocean directly, so just with a offshore pump. Crude oil from basic resource nodes. I guess I could show this also. So this is solar, this is the offshore pump with the ammoniacal solution. Then we have crude oil, lithium brine from resource nodes. These also look a bit like the oil, where you can just have pump jacks in specific locations. And fluorine gas from resource nodes. So this is the light blue stuff. This is a bit greenish. The lithium brine. New resource graphics by Jersey. So solar output is truly pathetic, only 1% of novice. You need some solar panels to kickstart your first few machines, so efficiency modules go a long way to speeding up that process. Ammoniacal solution can be gained via an offshore pump. With a powered, heated chemical plant, you can split it into ice and ammonia. Ice can be melted for water, which is needed for any power beyond the pathetic solar. It's also useful to extend your iceberg. So this is basically why you can't have any other power other than solar first, because you first need to melt some ice. I wonder whether you can probably not bring barreled water. I guess you need machines to unbarrel the barreled water. And you need to otherwise heat the ice or split the ammoniacal solution into ice and ammonia and then melt the ice. Ammonia can be used with crude oil to make solid fuel or combined with solid fuel to make rocket fuel. I wonder whether you can also make or have ammonia on other planets, and whether it literally just takes crude oil or some product from crude oil, like heavy oil or light oil or petroleum gas. Crude oil can be collected with a pump jack in a few places where it floats up from the ocean depths. It can be combined with ammonia to make fuel or refined the usual way, which can be a useful sink for excess ice and water while also making fuel. So they explain here it can be combined with ammonia to make fuel or refined the usual way. So I guess it literally means taking the crude oil and combining it with the ammonia. Also note that it's an animated resource now, even on Novice. So it's finally not just a puddle in the ground that doesn't move, it's more like bubbling around. Okay, lithium brine, that stuff floats up to the surface in some spots and requires a pump jack. It's used to make lithium, which you'll need for a variety of things, including the planet's science pack. Fluorine gas bubbles up in some places, and this also requires a pump jack. Fluorine is used to make coolant, which is an essential part of this planet's industry, cryogenics. Coolant is used in a few things, but initially it's only used for Aquilo's science pack, the Cryogenic Science Pack, which is made in a cryogenic plant. This one. I already will tell the best things about this. The Cryogenic Plant is a powerful 5x5 structure with a base crafting speed of 2. It doesn't have base productivity because it deals with a lot of looping recipes, but it does have 8 module slots. So extra productivity modules can be used for the recipes that support it. And you could also use a bunch of speed or efficiency modules, I guess, and find the correct ratio to have the most efficiency and the most speed still that you can have with the 80% reduction in energy costs. I guess Reducing the energy demand will be very helpful on Aquilo. And I have this also as a video. Turning down the music. This will suddenly start, I guess. Suddenly start and suddenly finish. Let's see. I think I will also already show the next video, which is more of these cryogenic plants already doing something. And I guess I might already show a few things. So there's holmium plate, I think. This is something like tungsten carbide, maybe, something that looks very similar to concrete, but it's made on vulcanus from tungsten and something. I guess these might be something superconducting from Fulgora, and of course processing units, the blue circuits. This might be coolant. And I can already say this produces the new chip, a new circuit. I like the sloshing animation around the top, and also how it's purple for this new, I think it's something like a quantum processor, I think that was the name. Just want to get the exact. So you can see here, it almost looks like the icon from the research when you unlock the blue circuits. Literally like a processor. These circuit boards always look very abstract and not really like anything you would put in your computer. I guess they might look more like a motherboard or something. I think this is producing lithium from possibly some lithium brine. I'm not sure what other steps might be before that, but for some reason also holmium plates. Let's try to catch these inserters while they are doing things. Okay, you can see here something in the hand of this inserter. Happens quite quickly, and there's something like lithium ore maybe. I guess it's just going into furnace to smelt the lithium. Oops, I hope the full screen didn't change anything. Just want to catch the right moment to get the ore. It's not that important, I guess you could also try that yourself at home. Just by opening the Friday Facts and looking at that video. Okay, there was the inserter swing. Yeah, it looks like some ore, some greenish ore. Not sure if it's the same texture as the stone, just recolored. But yeah, I will now continue here. There are some early sketches. Let's turn on the music. So this is what the Cryogenic Plant might have looked like. Drawn by Arundel. Albert liked the bottom two designs, so Arundel made something based on those. Some elements of the top three got reused in other designs. I guess these centrifuges, they look like these rotating centrifuges, were used in the new lab. And then here we have this sloshing top section and a few other liquid containers. Before final pale turquoise paint color was chosen. So that's this one, this turquoise greenish tint. It also has a similar color to the coolant. I wonder whether that's scientifically, chemically based, or I don't know what coolant usually looks like, or what kind of specific coolant that is. I guess it has something to do with fluoride or fluor compounds. So while the structure can use some chemical plant recipes, it is mainly focused on recipes that need cold temperatures and a lot of precision. Some examples are coolant, coolant cooling, so basically making coolant and cooling the heated coolant, the cryogenic science pack, fusion power cells, quantum processors, and some other late game items. So quantum processors is what this middle cryogenic plant made. I guess, yeah, it upgrades the blue circuits somehow with, I don't know if these are superconductors or supercapacitors maybe. Lithium and tungsten carbide or something. I wonder whether it also uses something from Gleba. I'm not sure. This might come from Fulgora, this might come from Vulcanus, this also comes from Fulgora. Lithium, of course, comes from this planet itself. So, quantum processors are like the final tier of circuit. They need something from each of the new planets. I wonder what exactly they might need from Gleba. They are needed to make the fusion reactors that you saw in 420. Cryogenic plants are the hidden structures in that post. Quantum processors are also needed to make the final turret in the game, which is also unlocked on Aquilo, the railgun. You can see it here. I will in a moment show a video of that. I just wanted to open this 420 post. So this is the fusion reactor. I guess we know most of this already. Or you can just enter 420 in your Friday Facts browser URL. So there are the hidden images. And down there somewhere, or maybe not, I thought it was down there. It was here. So there are a bunch of these Aquilo plants on the side and maybe some in between somewhere. I guess you would really have to zoom in a lot, and it's now nice to actually know what this cryogenic plant looks like in detail. And it was also already teasered in the 390. I guess I might show that theoretically, but maybe not right now. So let's look at the railgun. I have this video here. We'll just zoom in. It might get loud at certain points. I will try to just keep the music on. Okay, that's that. So the railgun turret requires both ammo and electricity to function. It has a range of 40 and the damage, well, it starts at 10k. I guess you can upgrade the damage, and of course you can have quality railguns. It damages everything in a continuous line, so be careful not to stand on the wrong side of it. And you can also see it's diagonal in this case. The turret has a 3x5 base. It has a fixed direction like a flamethrower turret, but the attack cone is narrower than 90 degrees. If you could only build in 4 directions, this would create blind spots, so you can build the railgun turret in 8 directions. Here are also some concept arts and line arts. There are pipe connections in the design because it was intended to be a turret that required cooling to function. I guess this was abandoned eventually. So this pipe entrance, I guess 2 of them. Probably one for coolant and then for the hot coolant to go out. And then you can see these 7 turrets on a space platform. I also have this as a external tab. I wonder what you might need this for on the space platform. I mean, you have to get to Aquilo, and there you have to also already get rid of a bunch of these large asteroids. So I hope you don't need them to actually survive the travel to Aquilo. Maybe it's for the end game, whatever that is. So there's also a handheld version that is very effective against demolishers, but that's not the main use for the turret version. What do you need the turret for? I'll let you speculate, so I guess... I wonder whether it's new enemies or even bigger asteroids that they didn't yet show. Otherwise, right now I'm out-questioned by this speculation prompt. Anyway, conclusion. Aquilo is a challenging but very unique planet. After spending a few hours getting absorbed into Aquilo's unique building patterns, it feels really weird going back to any of the other planets. By comparison, everything else suddenly looks so simple. It's a feeling that struck me after playing on my very first Aquilo gameplay prototype, but the same feeling hits me after every playtesting LAN we have done too. It's quite easy to accidentally underpower your base, which can lead to a lack of heat and subsequently freeze half your base. When this happens to you, I invite you to turn off alt mode and appreciate the view. The frozen factory isn't a sight you get often, so enjoy the moment. I guess we saw the opposite of this, the thawing of ice at the beginning. I know you're getting unreasonably excited for the release of Space Age, but as always keep your cool and comment in the usual places. I like how they do these puns in most of the Friday Facts that are somehow connected to the topic. So this was when the base thawed. with all these heat pipes getting warmer. And there's the engineer just in the usual clothing, I guess. Maybe they never actually wear something else. Whether it's on hot Vulcanus or cold Aquilo. So I think that's it for this video. It's really nice and unexpected that we got Aquilo. I thought they would only tell more about it after the release, but yeah, now we know. And I guess maybe next week it might be the trailer or some other information. On Monday, in 3 days, the embargo lifts and a lot of content creators and basically all these playtesters will be able to tell us everything about Space Age, everything they know. I guess there might still be changes or maybe hidden things, but most of our questions and speculations will be answered. Thank you for watching and see you in another video if you want.